Hello 2020 Design Live users, and welcome to this presentation on 2020 Design Live version 12.5. My name is Santiago Morales, and I'm the product manager of 2020 Design Live. What is my role as a product manager? Well, I'm kind of the interface between our clients, you, and the rest of the team at 2020, trying to get and gather all the feedback, the things that you like, the things that you find challenging, and trying to see how we can better the product best for you. Based on this feedback, we create new functionalities which we think will benefit most of you guys. Okay? If at all you have any question throughout this presentation, make sure to ask them in the chat box in the lower right hand side corner of this presentation. Okay? 2020 Design Live. What is 2020 Design Live? Essentially, it's a CAD software project allowing you to create designs to better sell your kitchen and bath project. Okay, 2020 Design Live is a new version of 2020 Design, which allows you to create the same type of project. It's still a desktop-based application, meaning that you still need to download it, install it locally on your machine, and therefore you can access 2020 Design Live remotely or locally without any internet access. Okay, 2020 Design Live brings other nice functionality like the easy render functionality, which is a new rendering engine, a bit more on that later, and cloud configurable product, allowing you to gain access to cloud items, the most updated cloud items, whether they're generic or whether they're manufactured items, and have them accessible at your fingertips so you can download it, insert it into your projects, and configure them through the cloud configurator. A bit more in a few seconds. But first, what have we done with 12.5? 12.5, we have continued the integration of cloud items, in this case, cloud lights. So since the beginning, we've added a various set of items in the cloud, and unfortunately, we didn't get around to make sure that the lights from the cloud also emit or have an effect in your rendering. So that's what we did with 12.5. 12.5, these lights now creates lighting in your perspective rendering. Okay? So a quick recap on 2020 design. This is 2020 design. I have the center area with my elevation, my floor plan. I have on my left hand side the controls or the access to catalog, in this case whether it's from cloud catalogs or from the locally installed catalogs. On the right hand side, I've talked about the cloud configurator, which allows you the configuration, of course, of cloud items. So this is a very powerful tool allowing you to configure any items from the cloud, specifically cabinet items, giving you the capability to change the door style, the finish, the materials, the price group, etc., all through the cloud configurator without the need to pull these items independently from a separate set of catalogs. So it really allows you more configuration capability without the restraints of file-based catalog technology. On the top here, I have my ribbon control, which are sequential depending on what your the project process or the design process is entitled. So you start with your room layout, you add your items, you put your annotations, then you create your presentation, your perspective view, front view, etc. And of course, you have your package drawing layout, the reports, etc. A bit more on Send to 2020 Manager in a few seconds. Cloud lights with 12.5, as I mentioned, now the cloud lights item emit light in your perspective rendering. Easy Render. I've mentioned about Easy Render. I'm very excited about this new rendering engine. It provides cool renderings in the nick of a time, so very fast to generate and produce these renderings. So these apply to your perspective renderings, to your high quality renderings, to the 360 panoramic images. Also will be able to generate much faster. And what do you get at the end? Well, you get better looking renderings with no pixelization, better representation of colors, materials, and finish, especially metals. And you get a better presentation of whites, which was somewhat of a challenge with the previous version of a rendering engine called Redway. Okay. For Easy Render, what have we done? Well, we've continued the development of Easy Render within 12.5. What did we do? Let's take a quick look. Again, this is 2020 design. I'll bring in my perspective here. This is my room. It's well lit, as you can see, and I have introduced, or we have rather introduced in 12.4, the previous version, the effects tabs. So this effects tab provides you filtering capability that can be easily applied to your perspective, allowing you to change a set of artistic effect to your perspective image. Okay, so these, as you can see, are pretty instantaneous. You can apply these filter capabilities rather quickly on your render image. Okay, if I draw your attention to the center of your screen, I have a couple of controls here. I have brightness, contrast controls, shadows and highlights, color temperature. If I want something more warm or more cooler, I can play with these controls. Saturations, whether I want to remove the coloring altogether, create a black and white rendering, or really focus or enhance the color of my scenes by providing more saturation to my renderings. Okay, so all these settings have been available for you in 12.4. What did we do in 12.5? Well, we added this control here on the right hand side. If you look here, I can now save all these settings that I have applied here and save it into a favorite. So I'll do just that. So I'll set this favorite settings and call it favorite 1. Okay, so now all these settings are captured in these favorites collections of settings. Okay, which means that if I want to reapply these settings at any type for other perspective in this project, I can so. Or if I want to reapply these favorites in any other project afterwards, I can still do that with this click of a button. Okay, so if like you've mentioned, if you prefer working with black and white renderings, let's do that. Let's remove all my color saturation. I now have a black and white rendering. I can now save these settings, call it BW for black and white, press OK. Now I have another setting for black and white. If I go back and create, let's say something, I'll reset all my settings here by reset all button. And let's say I want to play with the color temperatures, having a more warm color. Maybe I like more highlights, a bit more brightness, a little less contrast. Save this setting. Because I like my ideas more warm, I might want to save this setting as my warm setting. Call it OK. And like I've mentioned, now I have my warm setting, and I can easily navigate through these settings that I have saved previously and reapply them instantaneously. Okay, there's no limit. You can have as many, and so you have a list where you can pull down and select from a variety of settings that you might like or save. Cool. All right. What else did we do with 12.5? One of the concerns of users that we've heard on 12.4 is that it's sometimes challenging to get a room to be well lit. Okay, this is mainly because we're trying to encourage our users to make use of the natural light that comes in through the windows or through the doorways. Okay, because that's how you can achieve best good-looking renderings. For those of you who are just concerned to have a well-lit room faster and maybe not as interesting in the realistic endgame, we've provided the control for artificial lights. Okay, where are these artificial lights and how can I access them? So let me reset these all to the default. And I go through the light effect light bulb under scenes. Now I have 3 sliders that are available to me. I have the artificial light slider, which I just mentioned, the natural light, which is the light that comes in through the windows and doorways. This is the more realistic setting, as I mentioned, that we try to encourage our users to use the most. But it does mean that you need to have the proper windows in your rooms already in place and your doorways as well. So a bit more work, but you get the better realistic. And the third slider I have here is the user added lights. Okay, so these are the controls for intensity for any lights that you place on your own. So whether they come from your room fur catalog or from the cloud decorative catalog, any of these lights you can control the intensity of all of these through this slider. Okay. Parentheses, you can still individually set each intensity of each light through the light's attributes. So right click through that item, change its light intensity, and you can independently set that lighting. This control, user added lights, is for all the lights in my scene. Again, any lights that I place through the room for catalog, the cloud catalog, or even the lighting wizard, okay, which is a tool that easily places lights in your cabinets or under your cabinets. Cool. So let's go back to artificial lights. So this is how you achieve a well-lit room the fastest and easiest without the need to place portals, windows, and doors. So to show the effect, let me reduce the intensity of my other lights and increase the artificial lights so you see what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm gonna let it re-render for a couple of seconds, and you'll see the effect in a few seconds. Essentially, artificial light, these are spotlight that we place automatically along the walls of your project. Okay, so you don't have to go and place them individually. The program sets it for you right along the walls of your projects. Okay, I'm re-rendering. Okay, so it finished rendering, and as you can see, I have a well-lit room with no lights coming from my cloud lights, no lights coming in from my window. The only lights that are generating my scene here are these spots that you can faintly see on the top here that are generated by automatically these artificial lights that we place right along the walls of your project. Cool? I'm sure you're going to appreciate that as well for those of you who really need those rendering out as fast as possible. Cool. Going back to my presentation here, easy render improvement. My next tool that I'd like to talk to you about is 2020 Manager. 2020 Manager is coming soon. I'm really excited about it. It's a separate product from 2020 Design, meaning that you need to get yourself a separate license for this tool. But the capability of this tool is quite amazing. Just to put you under context, what is 2020 Manager? I'll give you this anecdote, or maybe how you work today to track your projects, to track your customer, to track your quotes. Some of you use Post-it, some of you use an Excel sheet, some of you use a whiteboard, name it. There's different ways to track all your projects, but all of these have their pros and cons. And most of the time, it's very hard, or very easy rather, to keep track of what's going on, and you can easily be overcome. Well, that's what 2020 Manager is trying to alleviate for you. What is it? 2020 Manager is a web-based solution designed to efficiently manage your customer interaction. More specifically, what can you do? You can track all your prospects, track all your customers, track all your design, and this is the power that I like to emphasize here. Through 2020 Manager, you'll be able to not only track your customers and your projects, but you'll also be able to keep a link to your projects of each customer with their respective 2020 design project. This is really neat. If we go back to 2020 design, put this aside for a second, I have on the presentation the button Send to 2020 Manager. So once I click on this, this will upload my project onto 2020 Manager, and I'll be able to track my project through 2020 Manager with a respective customer. Now this is really, I'm really excited about this, and I'm really looking forward for it to be launched. Stay tuned for that, 2020 Manager. What else can you do with 2020 Manager? So you will be able to track your quotes, you will be able to track your documents, and of course your sales. Very neat. The next tool I'm really excited to talk to you about is the automated deployment and installation tool. So for those of you who don't always know when is a new version of 2020 Design Live available, how to get your hands on it, the added task to download, install is a lot of you find it cumbersome. Well, we're trying to take that away all from you. So it means that we're trying to facilitate this process for you through this tool that's already embedded in the latest version of 2020 Design Live. Okay, if I go back to 2020 Design, in 12.4, which is the previous version of 2020 Design Live, under the Help button, you have the About 2020 Design, and in here you had additional controls or additional notification that lets you know whether you have the latest version or if there's an update available for you. In this case, the orange triangle is letting me know that there's an update available. And if you'd like to check for update, you can do that manually by clicking this button. In 12.5, we added this button here in the ribbon of Help, so readily accessible. If I click on it, I can now have this tool poke our server, determine whether there's new version available. In this case, there is. I have a new version that's available for me for download, 12.5.1.8, and it tells me which current version that I have. And if I'd like to see the release notes of that new version, I can, to track what new functionalities are available from you. But best yet, you have two additional buttons here. The left hand side is the most exciting to me, which allows you to download and install the update. So no more hassle in trying to figure out where's my version, where to download it from, how to install it. Everything is now taken care for you. Okay? And furthermore, with 12.5, whenever you launch 2020 Design, we'll have this automatically check our servers to see if a new version is available right for you. So the information will be pushed for you, and you'll have the choice to install it or be reminded in the next 7 days. Cool? So if I just do just that, if I click on the install update, this will now initiate the process and will now download this version onto my computer. I can continue to work while it's downloaded. I can play with my project. I can continue play or adding new dimensions or create a new design. It's not a problem. The system, once it's finished downloading, will notify me that it's ready to install. In which case, it'll prompt you to save your design, close design, and then kick off the installation process. So it's a very, very easy and step-by-step process that's alleviated for you to get the latest functionalities and the latest bug fix rightfully for you. Cool, very happy about this. So hopefully you're all benefits for getting the latest updates at your fingertips. Nice. Cool. All right, so 2020 Design Live, as I mentioned, is the next generation product. If you're not on it already, the migration to it is free. If you're currently paying your maintenance and support fee, for you it's going to be free. You just need to access www.2020spaces.com/migrate, so you can add or can figure out all the additional information you require to gain access to this subscription license tool. Cool. Hope you joined the wagon with us. And with that, let's take a look at our questions.